Hello, wonderful students. So today we are going to be learning 1 point perspective. And the new key terms that we're going to be going over are the horizon line and the vanishing point. So before we get started, we are going to start with these two new key terms. We're going to need a ruler, of course, a pencil, an eraser, in case you make a mistake. But even if you make a mistake, it's okay. You can also work with pen or markers, but preferably with pencil because we do get to erase here and there. So my recommendation to you is to start off by doing the lines very, very light. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna start off with the horizon line. The horizon line is just a line that goes across the paper. It should be horizontal. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my horizon line. And remember, if you do not have a ruler, you can always get a paper folded until you have a straight line. So this is a horizon line, horizontal line. The vanishing point can actually be located anywhere in or anywhere on the horizon line, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna place it right in the center, okay? So when we're working with 1 point perspective, you can do any kinds of shapes. You can do organic shapes, geometric shapes, cubes, whatever it is that you want. And then we're gonna connect all of the corners to this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 3. I'm gonna do 3 organic. Remember, organic are shapes that do not have any corners, okay? I'm gonna do, let's see, a circle. I'm gonna do it right on the line. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. And I'm gonna do a heart sideways. Okay, so I have 3 organic shapes. Then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do a square, and you could use your ruler if you prefer. It's really up to you. So when we're working with 1 point perspective, you start with a shape. Remember, shape, you started off with the line, and you just make sure that your line is closed. There's no little empty gaps. So we're gonna start off by doing 3 organic shapes and then 3 geometric shapes. And geometric shapes have corners. Okay, so I have square. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make a funky looking shape actually. Let me see. I'm gonna go like this. See how it's funky looking? Just making random shapes. And then the next one, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make an L. And if you wanna just go ahead and make your own shapes, that's also fine. You don't have to follow along with me. I'm just making random shapes. I'm gonna make a geometric shape that has corners. I know I keep moving my paper a lot, I'm sorry. It's just easier for me to twist and rotate. So again, 3 organic, they don't have corners, and then 3 geometric, they have these corners right here. So what I'm gonna do next is, once you have your shapes, you need to find the corners. It's really easy to find the corners for the, geometric shapes because they're very obvious. So we're gonna go ahead and locate them. So find all your corners, all the little places where you have a little corner. You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna make a little dot. And what I'm gonna do next, you need to make lines that connect to the vanishing point. So wherever I went ahead and I did this little dots, the little points, I'm gonna connect it to this vanishing point. Remember, this little point right here is called the vanishing point. And the line that we did is the horizon line. Okay, that's very important. So what I'm gonna do next And in this part, I want you guys to do this very, very lightly. Don't do it too dark because you are going to erase. You're going to connect this corner to that point, to the vanishing point, like that. I've had students in the past that start making random lines. Remember, you should not draw a line unless that line is connected to this vanishing point. Right here, I have another corner. I'm going to connect it to the vanishing point. Right here, I have another corner. I'm going to connect it to the vanishing point. And even though I have a corner right here, I am not going to connect this corner to this vanishing point. Because if I do, it's going to go through my shape. And we don't want to go through our shape. We need the shape to be clear. There should be nothing in here, okay? So I'm going to do that to all of my shapes. I'm going to connect them to the vanishing point. And notice how my lines are not too dark because I will erase. Even this one right here. You're going to connect this to the vanishing point. Sometimes kids are like, oh no, they look too close, but that's okay. It's supposed to look like that. Remember, any line that you make has to connect to this vanishing point. This corner right here has to connect to this vanishing point. See that? This corner right here has to connect to the vanishing point. This corner right here has to connect to the vanishing point. This corner right here has to connect to the vanishing point. This corner right here where we have the dots. So basically it's from one point to another. From one point to the vanishing point, from this corner to the vanishing point. So you see? And you're probably wondering, Ms. Albarran, you forgot this one point right here. But remember, if we connect this to this, it's going to go through our shape, and we need the shape to be clear. So now, another very important part. Remember, parallel lines. These are lines that never intersect. So if my line goes straight, my other line is diagonal as well. They never touch. If my line curves, my other line is also going to curve. So if my line starts going like this, my second line is going to start going like this. And they're going to have the same amount of space in between. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. A lot of people have a hard time closing the lines, but I want you guys to pay attention. I'm going to show you guys a trick. You see this line right here? You always go back to your original shape. So right here, I'm going back to my original shape, the square. This line that I see right here, I'm going to put my ruler, and I'm going to go ahead and bring my ruler up. And you see my line, you can still see it right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a line like this. So if this line is horizontal, this line has to be horizontal. If this line right here is vertical, my line on this side is going to be vertical. So right here where I left off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my line vertical. Because it has to be parallel. So this line and this line are parallel to each other. This line right here and this line have to be parallel to each other. See that? So now we have a cube going in, dimension, you could say. It's going in perspective. So if you wanted to make this longer, then I would, instead of doing my line here, I would do it a little bit further down and then right here further down. Or if I wanted to make my cube smaller, then I would make my line right here. Remember, this is horizontal, so this has to be horizontal. This is vertical, so this has to be vertical. You see that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this line because it's darker. Once you have a horizontal line and a horizontal line, a vertical line and a vertical line, parallel lines basically, you have to erase everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and every other line, I'm going to go ahead and erase. And like I said, you could do this in, like if you wanted to do this with pen, you can. I would only recommend to make your lines a little bit darker, these lines, and then these lines would fade away in the background. But what I recommend the most is just pencil. So you see my square is now a form in perspective. So this right here is where it gets kind of tricky. If this line is diagonal, then this line has to be diagonal. And you're probably thinking, How do I do that? Again, you get the ruler, you put it like this, connecting to your shape, and then you just move it far, far away. You see how this line is diagonal? So my line right here has to be diagonal. So from these two lines, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my line like this. So this line is parallel to this line. Then you go on to this next part. You're like, oh no, how am I gonna close this? If this line right here is diagonal, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna put your ruler like this. You're gonna go up, and you're gonna make your line like that. Going to this next part right here. I stopped right here. So that means that this line should start right here. I'm gonna put my ruler right here, and I'm gonna go up until I see that little line, that little dot, that point, and I'm gonna go ahead and make my line parallel to this one. Remember, this is diagonal, so this one's diagonal. You see that? And then this last one right here, this is diagonal as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put my ruler next to that line, and right here where I left off, I'm gonna go up. See that? So they're parallel to each other. Right here I have this shape that goes up, down, and right here it goes up, down, up, down. What do I do with the remaining lines that I do not need? For example, these. Go ahead and I erase them. And notice how now my shape became a form. I'm gonna make these lines a little bit darker so that you could see them. So that you could see them a little bit better. So you see, now this funky looking geometric shape that I had is now a form. And all I had to do was connect those corners to that vanishing point. So everything looks like it's going into one perspective. That's why it's called one point perspective, because everything's going towards that point. And then last, this is my favorite one because it's really easy. If this line right here is vertical, remember I put my ruler next to that line and I'm gonna go away, away, away. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and make a vertical line. Remember, if this is vertical, this has to be vertical. So they have to be parallel to each other. Parallel line. If this is straight, curvy, diagonal, this is diagonal. This is curvy, this is curvy. Right here it's horizontal. So I'm gonna put my ruler right here and I'm gonna go up until I see this point right here. And then my line is gonna be horizontal. So it's parallel to this one. If this one is vertical, I'm gonna put my ruler right here. I'm gonna move it until I get to this point. And then this is gonna be vertical. And if this is horizontal, and if I want my lines to be parallel, remember, I'm gonna stop at that point. I'm gonna put my ruler here and I'm gonna go up, 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 up. What do I do with these remaining lines? I erase them, right? So that's why I said, like I said earlier, it's better to use a pencil and don't do your lines too dark so that when you erase them, you won't see the leftover marks. But I mean, if you do, you can always add some marker or color so that you won't have to see that. Now we're gonna get to the ones that are slightly more difficult. So notice how these don't have corners, right? For the geometric shapes, it was easier because the shapes had corners, so we could find these points really easily. For these, we don't have corners, so how do we find it? How do we connect it to the vanishing point? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my ruler right here where the vanishing point is. And I want you guys to pay attention to my ruler. As soon as my ruler touches the edge of this shape, that's where I make my line. So I'm gonna move my ruler slowly, okay? I'm gonna go like this. There, you see how my ruler just touched the shape? So one side of my ruler is touching the edge of the shape and the other side of my ruler is touching the vanishing point. I'm gonna make a line. There you go, I made a line. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that my ruler touches this edge. Notice how I have my pencil right here on the vanishing point and I'm using it to guide me. As soon as my ruler touches the edge of the shape, right there. You see how it's touching that shape, the edge? And then right here is my vanishing point. I'm going to go ahead and make a line. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just, wherever I see a curve, I'm just going to do a line. Or actually right here, there's a little curve right here. As soon as my ruler touches that little curve, I'm going to go ahead and make another line. And I'm just going to leave it like that. So you're probably wondering, how am I going to close these lines? These are just vertical and horizontal. How about these? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Remember, they have to be parallel lines. If the one edge is curving, then the other line also has to be curved. So if this right here is curved, then this right here has to be curved. See that? So it's kind of like the U, a wide U, or a C. If you're looking at it the other way. And then it goes in, right? It goes in, and then it does this. It has this shape right here. So right here, it kind of looks like an S. You see that? Like an S. Remember when I told you when you're drawing, try to look at other shapes and try to look at letters. So right here, there's an S. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to do an S. See what I just did? And look. Squiggly line right here. Squiggly line right here. What do I do with the remaining lines? I erase them. And as soon as I erase these lines, look at that. Beautiful, right? You can start seeing the organic shape becoming to a form. How about these edges? These edges right here are exactly aligned with the point, so you don't have to worry about the edges right here. This one, maybe right here, when the vanishing point touches this edge, you could just go ahead and make a line, but you can't really see it as much, so it's okay. Now we're going to move on to the heart. I'm going to connect my pencil to the vanishing point, move my ruler until it touches that edge. So there, it touched the edge. I'm going to make a line. Then I'm going to go ahead and go to the middle. I'm going to go ahead and go, okay, there you go. There's another corner. And then I'm going to move it on this side so you can see a little bit better. As soon as my ruler touches the other edge, there you go, it touched the other edge. I'm going to go ahead and make a line. Remember, this is like a C. So right here, I'm going to make like a C. And then there's like another C. What do I do with the remaining lines? I erase them. And then the circle, last but not least. Again, make sure my ruler is touching that vanishing point. Vanishing point. And as soon as it touches the edge, right there, we make the line. As soon as it touches the other edge, right there, we make the other line. We can erase the line that's right here in the circle, so it could be a clear shape. If this line is curved, then this line has to be curved. And you can even make a smaller circle here, if that's easier for you. What do you do with the lines? You erase them. And you can also erase anything that's inside of the shape. You don't have to erase the horizon. So you see that? And there we have shapes and perspective. Another thing that I want you guys to pay attention to is anything that is on top of the line. So notice how these two shapes are on top of the line. You see the bottom of the shape. See that? So anything that is on top of the horizon line, you're going to see the bottom of the shape. Anything that is in the bottom of the line, you're going to see the top of the shape. And even the side. The top and the sides, depending on where it is. And notice how the shape, the circle, this shape is right in the center, right on the horizon line. So on this one, since it's right on the horizon line, you see the side of it. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Anything on top, you're gonna see the bottom. Anything on the bottom of the horizon line, you're gonna see the top. And anything on the sides, you're gonna see the side of it. Anyways, that is all for today. What you are gonna have for homework is to just decorate these shapes. If you want to go ahead and just color them in, that's totally fine. It's up to you. But if you want to go above and beyond, then I would recommend something a little bit more creative. So you can do something like this, where you can use value. Value is really, really cool because you go from darkest to lightest. And then you could decorate the background however you want. Or if you want to go ahead and just do, you know, right here, if you want to go ahead and, or in the circle, you want to fill it out with circles. And then color some circles in one color, and then color this in another color. Maybe you want to make it look more dimensional. And remember, if this is curved, you could keep doing curved lines. Right here, you could keep doing curved lines. This is only if you want to. If you're like, nah, miss, that is way too much, I'm just gonna color them in, that's also fine. So go ahead and decorate it however you want. Your homework is just to either color in, or if you want to be creative, I know that there's a lot of students that, you know, you guys always go above and beyond. This kind of looks like a cookie. So if you want to make it into a cookie, go for it. If you want to make this into, you know, write some letters in there or write graffiti or whatever you want, go for it. Be creative. Have fun with this, okay? Don't look at it so much as an assignment. Right now, we're taking baby steps to learning how to draw in perspective. This is the first step. And with these shapes and, you know, the forms that you just created, have fun with it. In the background, if you want to create like a swirl, go for it. If you want to do checkers in the background, go for it. Just be creative, add color. Remember, there's color pencils and markers in school. There's bundles that I made for you guys. And if you don't want to use color, if you just want to use shading, go for it. You can just go ahead and use some shading on your shapes. Remember what I said, value? When you go from darkest to lightest, it also looks pretty cool. So from darkest to lightest. So just be creative with it, have fun. And don't forget to submit this on Google Classroom, okay? So take care. Thank you for everything. If you have any questions, any comments, or any concerns, just remember to send me an email or to send me a message on Instagram. Bye, everyone. Hand hug. Take care. Hope this helps.